Thank you. Thank you. Well, good morning, and thank you very much. It is wonderful to be back on campus. It's a great honor. The last time I was here in 1973, I was sitting about where you are today, having just received my master's degree in industrial psychology. And of course, my time at Purdue was a wonderful experience. And so not only is it a great honor to be able to speak to you today, it's a great joy to be here on such a happy occasion. But I'm going to start my talk today very briefly. In fact, I know that I need to be brief. In fact, I probably shouldn't talk any longer than that famous flight 2 years ago lasted, about 3.5 minutes. Because I know that the students are anxious to graduate and get on with the rest of their lives. And really the parents are here to watch them graduate and to be reassured about an important point, that after years of hard work and paying tuition, so let me give you that reassurance right now, parents. Yes, your money has been well spent. But, 2 years ago, because of Flight 1549 on January 15th, I came to prominence. And as unfortunate and unfair as it is that I'm the one who has received the vast majority of the attention and not the rest of my crew, in spite of my best efforts, I've continued to remind everyone that what we did that day was absolutely a team effort. Now, my crew is not here today. Jeff Skiles, my first officer, Donna Dent, Doreen Welsh, and Sheila Dale. But if Jeff Skiles were here today, I've spent enough time around him, I know exactly what he would tell you and exactly the way he would say it. So he'd say, I deserve some recognition too. After all, I'm the one who flew the airplane into the birds and made Sully the hero he is today. So Jeff, we're thinking about you, buddy. Of course, I know I've been invited to speak because of the important events of January 15th, 2009, and the power of that story to touch people's lives and give them hope. But what I'm really here for is what I've learned over the decades and my tens of thousands of hours of experience leading up to that flight. And I'm also here because my family has always had a strong emphasis on education. You see, I was privileged to grow up in a safe, stable environment in which education was valued, ideas were important, and striving for excellence was expected. You see, my grandparents were born in the 19th century, and yet all four of them attended college, which was remarkable, especially for women of that era. And to those of you graduating today from the College of Education, I thank you. Your impact on future generations has not yet been realized, but your gift to society undoubtedly will be great. You see, I know this from firsthand experience. My mother was also an educator. She taught first grade for 25 years in a small town in Texas, and she loved being a teacher. And from her, I received two wonderful, great gifts, a lifelong love of reading and of learning. With these two gifts, you can learn anything. College education doesn't mark the beginning. It doesn't mark the end of your learning. It marks the beginning. Purdue has taught you how to learn, but the learning process must continue throughout your life. You must continue to learn, to see new connections, discover the interrelatedness of things in life, and to gain experience and wisdom by paying attention at each step along the way, creating new ideas by expanding on existing ones. These are the building blocks of innovation. So no matter what path you choose to follow, whether it's teaching, pharmaceutical sciences, or medicine, I encourage you to always follow your passion. It will take you far in life. I was very lucky to have found my life's passion at such an early age. I can literally remember being 5 years old and knowing I was going to spend my life flying airplanes, and I was fortunate enough actually to be able to do that. And having found my passion made me more willing to work hard at my job, to have the diligence to become more expert at it. And not only did I benefit from this, but I believe that society has as well. And following your passion has helped find purpose and meaning in life. And I can tell you from personal experience how much fun it is to be particularly good at something that's difficult to do well. And while it was my intellectual curiosity that fueled my lifelong learning, it was my passion that fueled my dedication and my willingness to work hard at something I cared about deeply. So I believe that we must continue to challenge ourselves to excel throughout our lives. In fact, I think being a lifelong learner now is an economic necessity. With the pace of change only accelerating, I don't think it's any longer possible for most of us to get through an entire professional life with only one skill set. And for those of you who are graduating today from the College of Health and Human Services and Pharmacy, I applaud you. In your choice to pursue a more difficult path, to commit yourself to the study of science, you are contributing to the greater good of society. And we mustn't forget what a noble calling science is. The purpose of science is nothing less than to provide humankind with a more complete and accurate understanding of reality, an altogether worthwhile enterprise. And so at a time when fewer and fewer young people are pursuing careers in the sciences, you have chosen the path to innovation. And this is something I've tried to do my whole life. I've tried throughout my career to always try to make the next flight better than the previous one. I challenge you to do the same. This constant pursuit of excellence isn't just about ego. It's not about your own individual achievements or your personal enrichment. It's about achieving the best result. And when you have a team that works well together, it provides the same kind of satisfaction as when you're a member of a winning sports team. When everyone's doing their share in a collaborative way, it just feels right. And I experienced this throughout my career, but especially on January 15th, 2009, when my crew, First Officer Jeff Skiles, our flight attendants Donna Dent, Sheila Dalen, Doreen Welsh, and I, never stopped working together to solve the many challenges that we faced. We never gave up. We never lost faith in ourselves or in each other. And in a similar fashion for each of you, no matter how dire your situation might one day be, know that further action is almost always possible. And when you are a member of a well-trained team, your chances of getting through that challenge successfully are immeasurably better than when you are not. You see, when we're true to our ideals and we work together, there is little we cannot accomplish. After January 15th, 2009, after Flight 1549, I began to hear from some of my colleagues, people that I'd flown with years, sometimes decades before. And they began to tell me what they had started to call Sully stories about events that I had long ago forgotten, but that they had not, because something I had said, something I had done, some situation we had faced, and the way I had handled it had resonated with them. They had remembered them, and they were kind enough to share them with me. And sometimes I was reminded of an important flight-related safety issue, and sometimes I was simply told about the time that we had arrived at our destination, and there was an elderly passenger who needed to be brought off the aircraft in a wheelchair, and the person who normally did that wasn't there, and so I pushed her up the jetway into the terminal. You see, my thought process was a very simple one. I'd gotten you this far, I wasn't going to leave you here now. Or sometimes I was reminded about the time I stood up for a flight attendant in the face of an unreasonable passenger. It turns out that my reputation had been built over many years, one interaction, one person, one day at a time. And I think that's likely to be true in each of our lives. In every encounter with another person, there is inherently an opportunity for good, for ill, or for indifference. There's an opportunity to be a leader. There's an opportunity to be a teammate. There's an opportunity to have integrity. There's an opportunity to make a difference. And even if you're a graduating college student, even if you're working at your first job, if you're heading to graduate school, or if you're simply talking to a friend, a coworker, or a family member, never forget that what you're doing is you're building your reputation, and that someday someone will tell a story about something you've done. So make sure that story paints a picture of the person who you want to be. I'm reminded that an academy classmate of mine, a fellow fighter pilot, an airline pilot, a year and a half ago finally lost his battle with cancer. And his widow asked me to speak at his memorial service, which I was more than honored to do. And one of the things I said about Chris was that he was one of those remarkable people who was able to live his life in such a way that his values were apparent. He didn't have to tell you what he believed. He didn't need a poster on his wall or a sign on his desk or wear a t-shirt emblazoned with a slogan. If you paid enough attention and spent enough time around him, you knew everything about him you needed to know. You see, he didn't just have real values. He chose actually to live by them. And when you live your lives based on real values in a genuine way, taking authentic action every day to achieve your goals, you're well on your way to having led a purposeful, meaningful, well-led life. Over the years in my profession, I've noticed that one of the characteristics of those who are particularly adept and of high professional standing is the level of care that they bring every day to the job. And while we all do our safety duties well to ensure the safety of our passengers, some people go above and beyond that. You see, for them, it's more than just a job. It's a matter of professional pride. It's a professional passion. And these people are constantly striving for excellence. They're continuously learning and trying to be the most complete pilot, the most complete person that they can be. And it shows. Sometimes it really is as simple as that. Caring a lot about what matters and paying attention along the way. Now, when I began to prepare myself for today's address to you, I was trying to imagine what, after a gulf of 40 years, I could possibly say to you that would bridge that gap, that would be relevant. That is, besides telling you I have 2 Rihanna songs on my iPod. and that the title of the most recent one consists only of 2 letters separated by an ampersand. Yeah, that one. But my message really is simpler than that. And that's for you to do what I've tried to do in my life. To never stop investing in yourselves. To never stop learning, never stop growing, either professionally or personally. To choose to show up for your life and not to be a bystander. To be present and to celebrate every moment. You see, none of us knows what tomorrow may bring, yet each of us has the responsibility to prepare ourselves well. At the end of our lives, I think it's unlikely we'll be counting our money or cataloging the deals that we made or the things we managed to accumulate. Instead, I think it's more likely that we may simply ask ourselves a question. Did I make a difference? And so my wish for each of you is that the answer to your question will be yes. Congratulations.